This is both frightening and interesting at the same time. Doctors are finding that a lot of individuals who have COVID-19 that should be gasping for air and be in pain and struggling to talk are talking on cell phones, but on their x-rays they are showing really bad cases of pneumonia, which is making people go to the hospital in a worse condition because they're sick and they are having silent hypoxia. They're slowly having their blood oxygen level drained and they don't even know it. They feel just slightly sick, but yet all evidences and all x-rays and all scans say that they should be in extreme pain and struggling for breath. But they're not. How weird is that? And scary. Let's read this. CNN. In hospitals around the world, doctors are shaking their heads in disbelief as they watch COVID-19 patients who should be comatose or seizing from hypoxia, a lack of oxygen in the body's tissues, check social media, chat with nurses, and barely complain of discomfort while breathing. That is crazy. Some have dubbed them happy hypoxics, a terrible misnomer for what could be a long, slow recovery or worse. That is kind of scary. Think about it. So you have pneumonia, but you don't even realize you have pneumonia. You feel slightly sick. But you have pneumonia to a degree where you should be struggling for breath and you'll be in severe pain. But you go a couple days and you feel kind of sick, and finally you notice that you're short of breath and you go to the hospital and they're like, how are you even talking? How crazy is that? That is just nuts. The proper medical term is silent hypoxia. It happens when people are unaware they are being deprived of oxygen and are therefore showing up to the hospital in much worse health than they realize. Man, that's crazy. Typically, these patients have experienced some COVID-19 symptoms for 2 to 7 days before they show up at the hospital complaining of sudden chest tightness or an inability to breathe deeply, said Dr. Richard Leviton, who's been an emergency room physician for some 30 years. Could you imagine someone comes in, you're a doctor, and they're walking, they're talking, they're on the phone, I feel kind of sick. And then you take a scan, you're like, dude, you have a severe case of pneumonia. Your blood oxygen level is as low as 50%. 50%, you're in a seizure. You're blue. You're comatose. While he practices at Littleton Regional Healthcare in New Hampshire, Leviton recently, and if I butcher your name, I am so sorry, recently spent almost 2 weeks volunteering in the emergency room of a New York City hospital near the epicenter of the city's devastating outbreak. There, he watched patients come into the emergency room with blood oxygen levels as low as 50%. So low they should have been incoherent, even unconscious. Normal blood oxygen is 95 and 100. I've never seen 100, usually about 96. And anything below 90 is considered abnormal. In addition, Leviton said scans of these patients' lungs showed signs of pneumonia so severe they should be in terrible pain as they gasp for the next breath. But they're not. How? Now this reminds me, I don't know if anybody out there has watched Stargate Atlantis, that TV show, but Stargate Atlantis had these things called wraiths, and they would stick their hand in you and inject a chemical that actually made you stronger for a short period of time. Something about it made your essence or whatever it was that they ate out of human beings taste better or something like that. So I kind of wonder if maybe there's something going on here where perhaps maybe it's adrenaline is pumping through your body or something is happening that says, hey, we don't feel it. I don't get it. It's crazy. It's crazy. In addition, Leviton said scans of these patients' lungs showed signs of pneumonia so severe they should be in terrible pain as they gasp for the next breath. Think about that. You're a doctor and someone comes in and you're like, there's no way. There's no way. What is going on here? That's crazy. Their x-rays looked awful. Their oxygen was terrible, and yet they're completely awake, alert, on a cell phone, and they all said they've been somewhat sick for days. How? And then only recently did they notice their shortness of breath or fatigue or something else, Leviton added. That's what's so fascinating about this disease and also so terrible. So, I mean, how many people out there felt sick for a couple days and could have had it and felt really horrible? What? Then the other thing is this. this damage when you get older, even if you get COVID-19 and you have this damage and you get the bad pneumonia, but you don't feel it, well, how much damage is going to be done when you get older? That is crazy. It's terrible because by the time a person realizes they are having trouble taking a deep breath and reaches out for help, they are already dangerously sick. Some may ultimately require a ventilator, Leviton said. As levels of carbon dioxide rise, fluids build up in the air sacs and the lungs become stiff, leading to acute respiratory failure. That is nuts. So why? How does this happen? Doctors speculate that for some people, COVID-19 lung problems progress in a way that isn't immediately apparent. As patients focus on battling such symptoms as fever and diarrhea, the body begins fighting back against the lack of oxygen by speeding up breathing to compensate. Okay. Just imagine that you had a full glass of air, and now that cup becomes half full, said critical care pulmonologist Dr. Cedric Rutland, a spokesperson for the American Lung Association. What are you naturally going to do? You're going to try to fill it twice as fast because you lost half, said Rutland, who is also an assistant clinical professor at the University of California, Riverside. So people are breathing more rapidly, but they are not aware of the breathing rapidly. How does that work? Because when I breathe rapidly, I know darn well that I'm breathing rapidly. So is it just a slight increase? But at 50% oxygen level, you should be struggling. You should be really trying to get that breath in there. People may not be aware of their more rapid breathing rate and don't seek help, yet blood oxygen levels continue to fall. In the meantime, the body slowly becomes somewhat adjusted to the lower levels of oxygen, much like what happens when a person travels to a higher altitude. But 50%? God, that just seems... What? Oh, yeah. That's just crazy. I don't understand how... I just... that's weird. By the time these patients get to the hospital with crippled lungs and crashing oxygen levels, this has been taking place for a bit of time, Rutland said. So your body is kind of used to it. So you get acclimated to it. But still, 50%. If you hold your breath for 30 seconds, your blood oxygen level goes down below the recommended 90%. So, I mean, geez, I don't get it. 1 minute into holding my breath, I am definitely feeling it. How does your body get used to it like that? God, that is so weird. Yet the damage has already taken place. Not only are the lungs severely ravaged, the lack of oxygen may have already compromised other organs in the body, such as the heart, kidneys, and brain. A silent hypoxia that progresses rapidly to respiratory failure may explain why some younger COVID-19 patients with no underlying health conditions have died suddenly after not experiencing any serious shortness of breath. Wow. That is nuts, man. That is nuts. That's crazy. Are you just as shocked on this as I am? Because for me, I'm looking at this because, I've studied medical stuff before. I've got a little bit of medical background. I'm baffled. I'm like, wow. Hemoglobin is what carries oxygen throughout your body. So if your hemoglobin isn't carrying enough oxygen to your body, you're going to take a lot of short, quick breaths. That's why I'm like, how is it not noticeable? How do they not notice? And the body acclimates to it? Wow. So you're going to the hospital and you think you're only a little bit sick, but you're really sick. Man, I don't know. That's crazy. Let me know what you think, guys. I don't even know what to say. To me, this is just baffling and bizarre. I've never heard of the body acclimating to something like that before and being like, ho hum, okay, well, less oxygen, okay. No, the body has all kinds of triggers and things to tell you that it's in trouble. So this, I'm just like, wow, it's kind of scary. Anyways, I love you guys. I gotta go do some heavy work to try to make sure food remains on the table. I love you guys. I love you guys more than you think. Stay informed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.